Hello and welcome to the latest from Hearts Standard. My name is Joel Sked and I'm delighted to be joined by Craig Cairns on this occasion, as most occasions. How's it going, Craig?
Very well, Joe. Very well. Not too long since the last time I've seen you, but it feels like a fair bit's happened.
Yeah, no. I'm counting down the days to the end of the transfer window.
Already?
Yeah, it's been one of those. It's busy. It's hard to switch off with so much happening, especially with Hearts doing so much business, and that's kind of why we are not doing a live. People who are watching this on YouTube, we've not done a live video because it's been press conference days. The press conference day, a lot been happening, and it was difficult just to go right. We'll plan to do one for X time and put a tweet at X time, and then you're just going, we can't do that at X time, so we need to do it at Y time. So yeah, that's why we've just recorded that, put it up, and there's no live YouTube comments or Facebook comments. So apologies for that, but we make do. Before we get into it, like Craig said, it's been busy days, so there was plenty to discuss, as it was yesterday when we spoke for 44 minutes around Hearts and transfer news. But before we get to the latest, once I find it, here we go. We've got a sponsor message, of course, from Good Vibes Giveaways, who are proud to sponsor Hearts Standard and offer fantastic prizes to fans of the club. Prizes change weekly and include tech gadgets, days out, weekends away, tax-free cash, and even OASIS tickets. Get your tickets now at www.goodvibesgiveaways.com and enter for your chance to spread the good vibes. Now, the big news of today has been Cammy Devlin and potential interest or a potential move in January. There's certainly interest in the player, and understandably why, because we'll get on to talk about. Craig, this news, when I messaged you, it was not a surprise to you that there is interest, that I should say.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it today. I wasn't necessarily aware or thinking that a team would come in for him, but there was a lot of talk going into the window about Rowles and Vargas. I mean, even besides Vargas's comments, there was still talk about him potentially being somebody who could be moved on at some point. But nobody had ever really mentioned Devlin that much. And it was when I was in Copenhagen and around the time that I think the Conference League had maybe put out a tweet if he was leading, I can't remember exactly which stat it was, whether it was tackles or whether it was like regains or something along those lines, but he was leading the entire Conference League with it. And he maintained that as well. It wasn't just like a one-off or anything like that in the Conference League. And he, with a few exceptions, he brought it into the domestic form as well. And yeah, I mean, I know that he might not be as good going forward as some other midfielders, but those numbers were surely going to pique someone's interest at some point. Somebody is going to be, despite his shortcomings, there's teams out there that would be looking for a guy that's just going to win the ball and give it to somebody else who can progress it up the park. And right now, he's in his best Hearts form for doing that. So yeah, it doesn't and doing it on a European stage as well. It doesn't surprise me at all that there are clubs looking at Devlin.
Yeah. So I now daily or Monday, Friday email that goes out to everyone who subscribes to Hearts Standard, and thank you for doing so, to the website, and they get an email at 5 o'clock, kind of like a wee bit say exclusive content, but something different that doesn't go on the site, etc. And I'm just trying to find the email, because what I did was I kind of just looked at the different aspects of the Devlin interest, why teams are interested in what he brings to the team, and I looked into the stats, and you did a piece earlier this season, well, very recently actually, which kind of dug into just how effective he is and compared him to other players in the league. And he is performing, certainly defensively, so very, very well. So I'm just going to read out a load of different metrics. Don't worry, there's not going to be any numbers or anything, and so just some important stats. But before I do that, and yeah, and it's clear that what I'm about to show and say is like teams will have like noticed this. I mean, there's a lot of teams out there that obviously don't have the depth and that Jamestown Analytics has and built up. But what a lot of teams do still have is they have access to data, and Cammy Devlin's data is very, very good, as I'm about to show as I.
And while you're finding it then, what happens is as well, I mean, I'm sure there's lots of people that already are aware of this kind of stuff as well, but what data allows you to do is it will cycle through thousands of players and then give you kind of folk that come out at the top of certain metrics, certain things that you're looking for, and then you go and apply the eye test. It's not as if you're just kind of getting bought, or many transfers are done right off the back of stats. They would then go and check them out, and if they've been watching them in Scotland recently, as I said, other than a couple of exceptions, when the whole team wasn't playing very well, I'm talking about Hibs around that time, they would have been impressed by watching him since. He's
probably had his most consistent, like, long-term running games under Critchley, and you see what Critchley's. I think he started 16 of 18. How many games has Critchley taken charge of? Maybe 18.
19. I looked at it recently because Adam Forrester's played a part in 13 of the 19 or something like that.
So I think Devlin started 16 or 17 of those games. And so if you're watching on YouTube, I've put up his radar from StatsBomb. And so basically, this is just to illustrate, like, a lot of the defensive metrics are on the left-hand side and down at the bottom. And the further you are towards the edge of the circle, it means the better you are in your position. So you can see that, like, tackled and dribble passes, no one really gets past them. Tackles and interceptions, pressures, all stuff like that. Fouls,
wins lots of fouls. That checks out.
Loads of fouls. Like, one of the best in the league at winning fouls. And what we'll do now is kind of read off a list, and this is just to illustrate kind of just how effective he is especially out of possession. So possession adjusted interception. So when you say possession adjusted, it just means that, for example, it's a better way to measure Celtic compared to St Johnstone, because a lot of teams like St Johnstone are going to have a lot more players in their team are not going to have the ball as much, so they're going to do a lot more chasing round. So this just adjusts it to put it on a even keel. So possession adjusted interceptions, 4th in the league. Defensive actions, 6th. Aggressive actions, 3rd. Defensive regains, so that's like how many times the teams won the ball on the back of Devlin pressure an opponent within 5 seconds, losing the ball, 3rd. Ball recoveries, 2nd. Ball recoveries in the opposition half, 1st. Tackles, 1st. Tackles and interceptions, 1st. Possession adjusted tackles, 1st. Possession adjusted tackles and interceptions, 1st. Possession adjusted pressures, 6th. Counter pressures within 5 seconds of the team losing the ball, 5th. Fouls, 1, 3rd. So I know there's a lot of jargon in there, but it was just to illustrate just how important and effective he is out of possession. And I just think with Devlin, you just look at what he brings, what he does is perfect for Scottish football. He is, if he's not the fittest, he is certainly one of the fittest in the league. In the team. His attitude is all spot on, and there's a reason why Critchley has continued to start him and play him almost every game, when there's other players who have came in and out. And yes, we've spoken about it before. I get frustrated with some of his on the ball decisions. Like, his passing accuracy is very, very good, but I think that's kind of helped by the number of short passes he makes. I think he makes too many short passes in my liking, but it's a balance. And I think what he gives you off the ball more than makes up for maybe limitations on the ball. And if you partner him with
Oh no! I said definitely. Sorry, I thought you were finishing as well.
No. Sorry, I was just saying. And if you partner him with someone with the right, if you put him beside the right partner, then you get the best out of him. So that's why I am not surprised that teams are looking at him, and know of a few who have certainly watched him and who are interested in him, and that they could potentially leave this month. And if he did, it would be a huge blow to Hearts, I think. Certainly short term.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think you're totally right about. Again, go back to that book that I was reading a few months ago, How to Win the Premier League. The guy that worked on Liverpool's recruitment department, he used the example of Andy Robertson, Jurgen Klopp and Andy Robertson. And Andy Robertson was unbelievable going forward, wasn't that good defensively. He improved over the years, but that was his shortcomings. And rather than find somebody who could do both, because Robertson was so good at going forward, he found a system that would compensate for that deficiency. And I know we're comparing like elite level to the Scottish Premiership here, but I think that's more of the case, or more likely to be the case at a club like Hearts, where you're going to have to cover for players' deficiencies a bit more and find systems. And I think you're right. I think that's exactly it. Cammy Devlin's the kind of guy that's winning the ball and then giving it to other players. He does what he excels at and gets the ball back and then gives it to other players to do that. And yeah, I know we've kind of wanted them to kind of kick on and be that more of an attacking threat and things like that. But I don't know, it's just not really his game, is it? And to follow on from what you were saying about your actual question was about it'll be a blow in the short term. Yes, it will be. But at the same time, this is how these player trading models work. And this is what Hearts are going to have to get used to. Hearts fans are going to have to get used to. There's going to be times, if everything goes successfully, there's going to be times. I know this isn't quite the same thing because we're not like in the sort of the Jamestown era really when it comes to selling players. But there's going to be points, if all goes well, where comes to January, there's a player who's absolutely flying, one of the best players in the league, and it's going to be prudent to sell them then because that's when you're getting the peak value for them and you're risking not cashing in on that again if you don't take it there and then. And the trick is that you're constantly identifying targets and bringing in the next ones, or you've already got the next one ready to make the step up or whatever. The difference here is, and we'll finally now get to the elephant in the room, I guess, is this reported release clause, which Critchley said isn't accurate. How inaccurate is, we don't know. This is what makes this part of the discussion a bit difficult, is that kind of filling in holes without knowing for certain how that is structured. It could be 280,000 plus other things, other clauses, and these kind of things that lead to future payments. So without kind of knowing the details, it's difficult to comment on it fully. But if it is only less than 300 grand that he goes for, then that would be a bit disappointing given everything we've just talked about, the form that he is in right now, which again, he might not he might just be in a bit of a purple patch or whatever, but it would be disappointing if right now he only went for that amount of money, I would say.
Yeah. So
and it would be a blow for the rest of the season. It would set us back for the rest of the season as well. Sorry.
Yes. Like you said, it's hard to speculate because well, very much aware that of the interest and teams interested in Cammy Devlin. That's something that I hadn't heard in terms of his release, of there being a release clause, which Stephen Hughes had reported off. But I think now, there is an acceptance that there is a release clause. I am not privy to any of those details of how exactly how much it is, and I tried to ask in terms of further details around it, but not really got anywhere. I think the record put up earlier on said that Record Sport understands that the actual figure is higher than is being claimed. How much higher, we don't know. But as I wrote in the email that went out to subscribers, is that if it's a low to which the reported figure is low to mid six-figure fee, I think that would be disappointing. And again, I would be looking at potentially something a lot closer to or more than kind of Kai Rowles as a starting point. Again, it's without knowing the specific details of how the deal was structured and who made what requests. Because obviously I think this was inserted after, in terms of his new contract, which was signed in September, which was after, I think Joe Savage was getting a lot of criticism on social media, but it was done.
Yeah, that's one thing that we can clear up.
yeah. So I spoke to him this morning. He said that it was he wasn't involved in that. So then there's a number of factors that come into it, and all we'd be able to do is speculate. And you look at, as a player, is he looking to make the next step in his career? That could come into it as well. So who knows? I mean, we can talk about how big a miss he is. The rest of it is, without knowing the finer details, it's hard to chat around it. But like you said, no matter what, if he was to leave this January, and if it wasn't a great fee, that would be a bit of a blow. And then you're looking to having to potentially replace someone else with someone else coming in.
Exactly. That's another new signing that you're expecting, or not expecting, but hoping hits the ground running, because Hearts are going to need a good success rate from their signings in the short term in this January window. I mean, obviously you want them to be successful long term as well, but they're going to have to have a good hit rate in the short term as well to get away from danger. Let's not forget that Hearts are still 11th. It's strange the sort of the boost that there's been over the last couple of weeks with the business that's being done and more of an extent the results, but it's still every other result seems to be going against us at the moment, and we just can't win 2 games, and you still can't. That league's so tight. You win 2 games and then you still can't move off 11th. It's slightly dispiriting, but that was a bit of a ramble. But I suppose I was just trying to say that Hearts aren't out the woods yet, and Cammy Devlin leaving would mean another new signing probably, and then another new player to kind of bed in and hope hits the ground running.
The one thing I would say about if you do have to replace Devlin and his qualities, I think they are potentially qualities that are maybe easier to replace. Just like the kind of the ball winning, the out of possession aspects as well. So it's not like having to replace a goal scorer or a midfield creator or someone like a goalkeeper where it is you're having to, like, there are aspects of their attributes and qualities that are kind of harder to find and more rounded, etc., etc. So yeah, we will see. Which leads us on to, in terms of other potential exits, Kai Rowles and Liam Boyce. Neil Critchley at the press conference today gave an update on their situation, and essentially it seems like Kai Rowles could play his final game against Aberdeen on Sunday, where it's less likely with Liam Boyce. He said, in terms of Liam Boyce, when asked if basically he was asked if he was going to be missing on Sunday, he was like, not 100% because it's not actually done on the dotted line yet, but I would expect that to be done. He's in negotiations with another club right now. That's something that he wants to do for his family. He's got his future to think about, and if that happens, then we wish him all the best. The other club is back in his homeland, Derry City, so he's looking to go back to Northern Ireland. So that one is expected to happen sooner than Kai Rowles, where he trained today, he's still preparing for the game. So reading between lines, my gut feeling, my feeling, just what Critchley said, is that Kai Rowles will potentially play on Sunday, likely be his last game, but Liam Boyce won't. So it'll require a wee bit of a change in attack. So yeah, that's the latest on that, which again is a wee bit of disappointment. In the Boyce side of things, we kind of covered that yesterday when we spoke about him just not being available for Aberdeen if everything goes smoothly with the deal.
Yeah, and I suppose with Benny and Boateng both being available, it probably would make sense for Grant to be pushed on one and one of those two to come into midfield. But from what Critchley said today, kind of confirmed what we were saying yesterday about Boyce, about a lot of it was to do with personal issues as well. Not personal issues, but just like family situation and things like that. The Rowles one, I don't know. Am I misremembering, or am I just thinking of like the Vlad years or something like that? But did not used to be the case that when you were about to sell a player that you wouldn't play them just in case they got injured or whatever? Now I know we're not talking about a huge fee here or anything like that, but it's still a bit. Still seems a bit. Didn't seem like it used to happen, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say, or used to happen less.
Yeah, that's that was always my fault. I even thought about that with Boyce. With obviously, he's had his injury issues that maybe the club wouldn't want him playing on Sunday just in case something happened and then it kind of jeopardised the deal. But it seems like it's been that while Rowles is still a Hearts player, Critchley, who admittedly said that he didn't. I found one of his comments quite interesting was, I think he kind of said similar on Sunday after the London United game. You might be able to confirm that, Craig, but basically said he's here, he's our player, he's been a great servant for this football club, and he's played nearly every minute of every game for me. So we're not wanting him to go, but as I say, sometimes those things are taken out of your hand. But at this moment in time, he's still here. So as long as Critchley has him, I think he's going to play him.
Aye, but if he's not told that he can't play him, it sounds like he will. And I wouldn't be surprised if, given the clean sheets over the last two matches, whether he stuck with Halkett and Rowles again.
Yeah, so that brings me on to kind of the final question, or not final question, but kind of final talking point, which is Aberdeen on Sunday. Hearts haven't won there since 2016. There has been a piece going out tomorrow just looking at kind of some of the numbers behind Hearts' lack of victories at Pittodrie. Aberdeen have signed a couple of players who could go into, including a centre-back who could go into their team to face Hearts on Sunday. It certainly Tobers, yes, the centre-back. And then there's got a winger on loan from Preston who played under
his name.
Jimmy Thelin in Sweden or Elfsborg, wherever it was he was before. How are you feeling going into this game, Craig? Whether we asked that as if you're playing, how are you feeling in terms of approaching this game, and like in terms of what you expect, and what would you like to see happen, or what would you expect to happen with the team? Would you expect it to be the same but with someone else coming in for Boyce?
I kind of mentioned that a wee bit earlier that I think Grant will probably get pushed up, because I just don't know what other option there is really. I mean, he could bring in somebody like Danda, who's a natural in that position, but he's not been in form. I just think that bringing in one of your better players in either Benny or Boateng, Benny presumably if he's fit, to move Grant on a bit, keeping another informed player on the pitch. That to me seems like the most sensible option. But Neil Critchley has fairly often tailored his team down to whatever the opposition do. I think it'll probably be the same shape, a 4-2-3-1 again, but I think, and it'll be largely the same 11. I think Oyegoke might come in at right back. We've played against the back three in the last two matches, and we've played with Grant and Devlin quite deep, and it's allowed the full-backs to go on both at the same time. And I don't think you can really do that against Aberdeen. A lot of their strengths in the wide areas. I know we're playing an out of form Aberdeen. That's one of the worrying things about it. Like Critchley was saying today, they're going to win at some point. Hearts haven't won there for a long, long time, so it wouldn't be the most surprising thing if it went against the form. So yeah, I think he'll be aware of Aberdeen's threats. I don't think he will take them lightly at all. He'll realise that wide areas is where they are quite strong. So I think Oyegoke might come back in for Forrester, but I think it'll be minimal changes. Yeah,
that's a really good point about the fullbacks. I didn't really think of that, but yeah, it makes sense to have a bit more kind of solidity when you lose possession, and if you've got Oyegoke kind of staying deeper or potentially going central. and making it 3. That kind of guards a bit more against Aberdeen's threat when they win the ball and they spring forward, like they've done. Like they did very well at the start of the season when they were on that run. So I was just thinking, it also, the likelihood is that won't be the same starting 11 for the third game in a row, because that's something I was going to look at, try and look at over the weekend. The last time Hearts named the same 11 for 3 consecutive games, I can't even.
Yeah, because when you said to me, you can't even hazard a guess. Because when you said to me the other day, at United, when the lineups came up, you said that's the first time since April or whatever it was. My response to you was, and that was the first time in ages as well, I'm pretty sure.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure when Naismith did it back to back, that was the first time in a long, long time that had been done. So, yes, good luck finding the last time there was 3 consecutive lineups.
I don't know if there's anything much more to add. Is there anything much more to add? I think we kind of covered the main talking points over the team. The team is essentially going to be right back. I think you made a good point about Oyegoki, and then who comes in to replace Boyce. And I think you're probably right that Grant will be moved up, and I reckon he'll bring potentially Benny back into this pitch. He's over his illness. He's trained this week. That Critchley confirmed. And then you've got a conversation over, do you bring Kabangu in for Wilson? But at the same time, Wilson's had it's been a week off. It's not as if it's like another game after a 3-day break.
And I think that was the other thing I was going to say, actually. I would be surprised if he brought in Elton Kabangu for Boyce, for instance, and played him alongside Wilson. I think that would maybe be a bit too open. I don't think that's what they're going to go for at Pittodrie. Could be wrong. And they've said that they're not going to play the guy out wide. So I don't think they're going to shoehorn him in either. And it's not very common. It's still not really that common for new signings to come in and make debuts straight away. I mean, it can happen. It does happen. But to my mind, anyway, it's much more common for players to be eased into teams rather than just chucked in. I know that sometimes needs must and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if Hearts are in the situation where they need to chuck him in. And I think given Wilson's form and how important he's been to how Hearts have pressed over the last couple of games, I think even though he's not been getting that many chances in front of goal, I think sticking with Wilson would be probably the right thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you've got that unknown factor and the excitement even with Kabangu coming off the bench.
Something to bring off the bench, yeah.
Yeah, Critchley can turn around and can change it that way. So yeah, it's exciting. There's obviously a lot of stuff going on off the park, but big game on Sunday. We'll both be there at Pittodrie. That was probably the next time you'll see us on doing a video. We'll have reaction from Pittodrie, hopefully talking about a win. But between this going out and that game, we'll have an interview with Jamie McCart, who spoke to the press today. Craig's writing that up, and I've doing up an update on Callum Newhoff and Gerald Taylor. More talking about the plans for them and coming back into first team football. There's no timeline as of yet, but I think Critchley, what Neil Critchley said at the broadcast, they said that they're getting closer. That was it. They're getting closer. So yeah, I'm not sure how close is closer, but I mean,
if you constantly go closer, you never get there.
Yeah, if you're always closer.
Because you're never going the full way. So if you just constantly, that's Neuenhoff. He's always going closer, but he's never getting to the destination.
I think there's progress from 3 weeks to closer, and then maybe we just got maybe a week at a time. But yeah, I think I'll probably be up at 10:30 tonight, and then I've got a wee bit on the Aberdeen away, the Hearts away form regarding Aberdeen. That'll probably go up tomorrow, and Craig's predicted 11 will go up on Sunday morning. But until Sunday evening, perhaps, I will stop my rambling. Thank you very much. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, and we will catch you again soon. Goodbye.